I've previously shown how to share a project on GitHub. Now I'll show you how to clone an existing project and make a copy of it that you can work on your local development computer. I'm going to use the project that I created previously, but you can use any repository at all. I'm starting at the repository's home page, and I'll click the Clone or Download button and click this button to copy this URL to the clipboard. That URL will let me clone or check out the project onto my local computer. Now I'll close the web browser, and I'll return to Android Studio's welcome screen. I'll click Get from Version Control, and I'll paste that URL into place. You can choose which directory you're creating your copy of the app in. The default location might differ depending on which version of Android Studio you're working, but I've set it so it's the same directory I was using previously, Android Studio Projects, under my home directory. I'll click Clone, and then I'm asked whether I want to open the new project. I'll click Yes, and now the project is open. I want to look for the main activity class, so I'll press the Shift key twice for Search Everywhere. I'll start typing main, and I'll choose main activity. And there's the same code that I had before. Now I want to add a bit of code. I'll add a couple of lines here, and I'm going to generate something called a toast message. I'll type toast and press Tab, and that will import that class into my file. Then I'll call .makeText. I'll pass in this as the context, a string. I'll use hello from Android. Then I'll pass in a duration for the message, and that'll be toast.lengthlong, and then I'll call the show function. And this means, as the app appears, display a message on the screen. Now I'll go to my version control tab down here that's appeared because this project is connected to Git. On the Local Changes tab, I'll open this tree, and I'll see that there are two files listed. First is the main activity class that I just modified. I'll click on that, and I'll press Command-D on Mac or Control-D on Windows. And that means do a diff, compare the current file to the older version of the file, and it shows me text that has been added. If I do the same thing with this file, vcs.xml, I won't see two versions, and that's because this is a brand new file that was just generated by Android Studio. Now I want to commit my changes. I'll click up here on the default change list, and I'll click on this check mark to commit the changes to my repository. Every time you commit, you must have a commit message. My commit message will be added some code. Now I want to commit the changes to the local copy of the repository, but also push those changes up to the remote version on GitHub. I'll click this arrow to open the menu and choose Commit and Push. If there are any problems with the code, I'll be notified, but there weren't, so I get to this dialog, and I'll click Push, and now my changes have been uploaded to GitHub. So those are the basics of cloning a project, making a little change, and then committing those changes so you've saved them in the remote repository.